I want to talk about breaking negative cycles, and I'm going to try and tread this topic as carefully as possible. Inevitably, when talking about this kind of thing, the subject of depression comes up, and I just don't feel like I can speak about it with any real authority. All I can really talk about are my experiences. However, I do want to talk about this because to never bring this kind of thing up, especially on social media, feels a little bit negligent to me. I want to see human beings. I don't want to see perfect people all the time. I feel like whenever I've fallen into a negative cycle, it's almost like the rules change. You know, I'm not thinking clearly, and I'm definitely not operating at my best. Identifying and breaking out of a cycle like this is probably the most important thing to focus on when you're in that kind of situation. And that's what I want to explore in this piece. Again, I think it's really important for me to repeat the fact that I know there are people out there that have suffered way more than I have, or ever will, honestly, considering the privileges that I have at my disposal. Overall, I've had a really good life. That being said, I think it's very, very easy for all of us to fall into negative traps. Destructive habits, toxic interactions, that kind of thing. I remember arriving at a bus station in Argentina a little over 2 years ago and calling my mom. She was in another continent at the time, and we didn't even speak during that phone call. I just cried. That was all that would come out. That was all that I was capable of in that moment. This is a really difficult experience to describe to somebody who has never gone through this before. It's kind of like you're falling, and no matter what you do, you can't seem to grab onto something to stop. I had really lost my footing, and I don't even want to think about what would have happened if I had continued on that trajectory. I'm legitimately not looking for sympathy here. I recognize that I'm a really sensitive person, sometimes too sensitive, and this was a very important experience for me to have, you know, for me to grow and to toughen up a little bit. And so in part 3 of my Going Essentialist series, I want to talk about what I've learned in breaking negative cycles. I know that I keep prefacing everything that I'm saying here, and this is the last time I'm going to do that, but it's important for me to repeat that this is 100% anecdotal. I'm not a psychologist, and this isn't even close to a replacement for professional help. Please treat this for what this is, which is just a video on the internet. Also, if you think that you're going through something that is potentially life-threatening, please seek help. Do it for yourself, and do it for the people that you love. Okay, so here are the things that help me get better. 1, change in environment. My definition for environment comes in 2 parts, internal and external. External environment is your physical space, as well as the people that you interact with and the things that you expose yourself to, like experiences. And internal environment is your mentality and your thoughts, the things that are going on in your head. Now, I had a problem with both. I had spent a time living in a place where I felt disliked and judged and just not free to express myself safely. However, my mindset was terrible as well. I was placing way too much importance in the opinions and words of others. I was painfully dependent on external validation. I'm still working on that. In a way, I was acting like a little kid, and that was completely my own fault and responsibility. I take full ownership for the fact that I let things get as unhealthy as they did. I needed to stop acting like a victim and letting that mindset ruin my life. When environment was the problem, either externally or internally, I found that change can be extremely beneficial. So in a physical sense, that can mean traveling to a new city or a new country, but it doesn't have to be that. You know, not everybody has access to that kind of thing. It can be as simple as spending time in nature or spending time with different people, you know, making new friends. And on an internal level, that can be changing the kind of content that you're consuming. As an example, obviously it's super important to be an informed citizen and to vote, right? But that doesn't mean you have to be plugged into the negative and sensationalized news cycle 24/7. It can be changing the accounts that you follow on social media or adopting digital minimalism and reducing your exposure to social media in general. Anything that takes you out of your bubble and increases your perspective. This is super valuable because in my experience, when I was in a bad place, I knew that something wasn't right, I just didn't know what to do about it. In most cases, exposure to new things can potentially provide you access to the answers that you're looking for. 2, learn a new skill. I think that adversity is incredible for growing and expanding as a person, but at some level, I think that is only possible once you've given yourself the chance to get back up on your feet. Now, I've spoken about this before. Learning new things has helped me get out of dark places. In February of 2017, I returned to the US and realized that in a year and a half, I had learned very little about the technical side of filmmaking. I was looking at my videos and not feeling like proud or excited about what I had done. Something kept pulling me back towards storytelling. And so I went, F it. I'm just gonna throw everything I've got at this. You can check out my video on how I learn things online if you're curious about how I did that. This was extremely therapeutic for me, and I'll tell you why. I had gone a long time without any wins. So my self-esteem was at an all-time low, and I was finally learning a valuable skill. People could now use my services, I could contribute something to the world, and that changed everything for me. I'm not sure what this dance move is exactly, but it doesn't look this good at normal speed, I assure you. This is more of a visual representation of how I felt. There's a shift that takes place, I think, when you take things into your own hands. You're no longer an employee in your own life, you're responsible for your own decisions. Getting good at something can bring back some of that momentum that, at least in my case, I had lost. And it can also become a way to express yourself. 3, do something difficult. Okay, so now you have a skill, right? Or maybe not even. Maybe you're just starting out with something. Once you've given yourself the chance to get back up on your feet, go and do something difficult without fail. All of the things that I'm most proud of in life have been the hardest things that I've taken on. I'm not a very funny person naturally, I'm not witty. I think people that get to know me in person will know what I'm talking about. I'm just not quick in that way. So I've made myself do improv and stand-up comedy. I suck at it, okay? It's a total cringe fest, but that's not what matters. What I've gained from those experiences was way more than that, which was confidence. It has grown as I've pushed myself, even in little ways. But please don't take me as inspiration, okay? I'm not that remarkable. In fact, I'm not remarkable at all. There are way better stories out there of people that have come from abject poverty or other incredibly terrible odds and have been successful in their mission. If they could do it, you definitely can. So that covers the 3 main points that I wanted to talk about in this video. Take it or leave it. I hope that this was helpful. But once again, I can only draw from my own experiences. So if you've had a different experience or a different viewpoint on things, please feel free to share it in the comments down below. And if you'd like to see more of this kind of content, please consider sticking around. And you can do that by subscribing to my channel, following me on Instagram, or signing up to my newsletter. Different perks for all 3 of those things. So giving you options. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.